It's been about 2 days of rotting in bed trying to recover from my feet and the crazy amount of excessive walking that I wasn't aware we were gonna have. But I thought I would talk to you guys about my top few culture shocks that I experienced. As somebody who has been studying Japanese, who has been aware of a lot of the Japanese culture for many decades now, I still did experience a couple of small shocks. Number one that I'll just start off with right away, konbini. I know, and I knew already, that konbini were common. That a lot of people use konbini. It's in a lot of anime. It's like talking to people who lived in the country. One of my really good friends has lived in Tokyo for about a year or more, and she talked to me about konbinis. But it's the fact that I went to 4 cities during the course of my trip, and except for Hakone, which is a small area around Mount Fuji that has mostly restaurants, but there was still like 1 or 2 konbini, mind you. It was just like every single hotel that we stayed at, no matter where it was, had a convenience store, either Family Mart, Lawson's, or 7-Eleven within 2 minutes of walking. Like, you could either walk outside and see one a block away, or you never had to travel more than 2 minutes to find one. And the fact that they have such a variety of items depending on which one you go to. Like the nail polish I have on, I got there. I've gotten like a cute office supplies. I bought a t-shirt I used once. So that was really cool. Okay, moving on. Number 2, and I don't think enough people emphasize this, temples. So I know that temples are a large part of the culture in Japan, but I didn't know that there are so many literally everywhere. And especially when you go to Kyoto, you will see tiny like shrines just every single block, and you'll see a temple like every 2 or 3 blocks. There's pretty much as many temples as there are convenience stores, if not more, which honestly I can't complain about. I think they're very beautiful, and I actually tried to visit extra on my free time outside of my group, but I was just shocked because when you see viral videos online, when you do your research about coming to the country, you'll hear 1 or 2 things about, hey, there's this temple, there's that temple to visit, but people don't really film it. I really don't think it was made obvious to me how there are literally temples like everywhere. Tiny, big, like even in these. So if you guys have ever heard of Sunrise Kamata, which the thing is, like, you'll go into like one of those comic shops or like, you know, hobby stores, and then walk like a block away and there is a full-on temple after you just saw some like X-rated booby girl stuff. Okay, number 3. I've heard that Japan is living in the future, yet it didn't feel too crazy. When I went to Shibuya Crossing, it didn't feel all that different from Manhattan or like Times Square area. Like, it was a little bit similar to where I wasn't in like a full-on shock. And maybe it's because of the day of the week that we went, but also like people kind of just use regular phones and people use cash a lot. I don't know if you guys know this, but payphones aren't really a thing. Like, New York completely got rid of payphones. I'm pretty sure most states in the US like don't have payphones. Last time I saw a payphone in the US was in the airport in Miami like a year or 2 ago, and I haven't really seen one since, or maybe I just didn't notice. There's a lot of places that it's hard to give cash. You can take the bus for 155 yen. I think this was in either Kyoto or Osaka, and it's just like a 1 fare thing, which is like, don't get me wrong, it's really convenient that you can still use cash for a lot of things, but also a lot of stores will only take cash. And like, I don't see how that's living in the future per se. Again, and a lot of the payphones like still work. Also, a lot of mom bikes are around. Like, not everybody's using the train system or a bus or taxi, or a lot of people don't drive cars. People will still get around using bicycles. And the thing about these bicycles, like, it's usually made for housewives with young kids, and they'll have like a basket and like a baby seat, and it's really cute. But anyway, the bicycle is regular. Like, there's so many e-bikes that I've seen in New York. There's so many, like even just around the country in the US, there's a lot of like modernized technology in terms of like e-scooters, e-bikes, things to help you like put forth less effort and not hurt your legs. But I did not see any motorized type of transport. When I went to the stores, any kind of convenience store, or like I visited a few department type stores as well, like we've done a lot of shopping, I didn't see any type of gadget that was like mind-blowing, that was like, oh my god, this is super futuristic. It actually kind of felt a little bit like, if anything, what I saw was either present day or even going back a few years. But again, I wasn't really there that long to like really know the difference. Number 4, please don't judge me with this, but all of the portion sizes are way too freaking small. And this is a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. So it's a good thing when you order a soda or a snack. It's an average, like it's 8 ounces or 10 ounces, and that's perfectly normal. And when you compare it to like US size standards, it seems small, but that's actually the average worldwide. Like most of the world doesn't have these huge portion sizes like America does. Okay, and I will admit, for myself and a group of us fat ass Americans, it seems small, but it's really not. And I think it's healthy and it makes it really easy. Like if you're walking so many steps, if you're taking public transport, if you don't have an e-bike and you're bicycling all around to do all your chores, and then on top of that, like you're eating portion controlled meals that it's like just the right amount, like exactly what you should be eating. If you want to have a snack on top of that, it makes it really easy to slim down or to stay at a very healthy weight. But for me, okay, I'm not, let me jump up and down. I'm not really overweight, especially compared to our group, yet I felt like, for example, when I ordered the ramen, I had to order like the extra noodle size, and I had to do like toppings, and I had to upgrade my order just for it to feel like it was actually filling. Because if I were to just have like 3 regular size average meals, I would be starving. I was so hungry the whole trip. Oh my god, so hungry. But it was okay and it was tolerable. I would walk a lot, eat a few meals here and there, have a lot of snacks in between, and I pretty much didn't gain or lose weight the entire trip. I ate what I burnt, basically, which is totally fine. I love that the convenience stores are all around. The food was pretty cheap, especially like the breakfast spots that are open early in the morning. You could spend as little as like $2 and have like a big bowl of rice and like tofu, or it's like a full meal, but it's relatively inexpensive. For myself, you know, it would really be like I have breakfast and then like 2 hours later I'm hungry. So I'm buying like a bunch of convenience store snacks and then I'm eating lunch. And I just kind of realized at a certain point that there's no point to me waiting and saving my appetite to then get to like a really nice vegan restaurant that's a little bit more expensive and, you know, trying more things there. Because I was gonna eat the whole thing at these restaurants and I was still gonna be hungry an hour later. So I may as well just go ahead and eat whenever I found anything appetizing. Like every time we'd go to a gift shop, anytime we'd go shopping, after about like the 3rd day, I just started buying anything that I could see that felt palatable. I lived off of the umeboshi onigiri. And I guess number 5, I don't think this is just because I was on vacation, but I really felt at peace. And this is gonna sound a little bit strange and controversial, and you're gonna think it's just because I'm a gaijin, but unless you're like a salary man who's working 12 hours or more a day, and even if you are, I feel that there's something different about the culture. It really resonated with me. Like I needed this experience a lot, because I feel like when you're in the United States, you have to have a side hustle. You always need to be busy. You always need to be doing something, and like time for rest is time wasted. This like fire movement, hustle culture, productivity, that is toxic. And you guys know that I had been feeling this way, especially trying to pump out content on YouTube. And there was just something about the fact that you can wake up early and nobody's around before 10 a.m. unless they're just trying to catch their train to go to work, right? And everything is peaceful, and you can visit a temple. Or you can literally, especially in Kyoto, you can just walk and you'll see people's like little gardens. Like there'll be practically no space, or like the tiniest amount of space, and they'll put like plant and decorations and tanuki like mini statues and cute things like that, and it'll just feel so like nice and homey, and like the incorporation of nature and the respect for rest, as far as I'm aware, most people will still use the baths. They'll go take a bath for at least 10 minutes. They will just soak with no phone and just relax. Like, the concept of actually relaxing in a true essential way in the US, if you're taking a bath, you're probably gonna feel like you're bored in there, so you have to bring your phone in. And even if you're not checking social media, you're watching a movie, you're doing something. There is never any time to just give yourself space and peace and look around. And I feel like most of us, unless you live in a major city, but if you live anywhere that's like slightly rural, what the hell are you doing? And it kind of feels like most people stay indoors. Most people aren't like going out and about and doing things. And it's kind of a norm from what I've seen, especially people who live in these major cities, to just go out, buy yourself a small drink, and decide, I'm gonna go to a coffee shop, a seating space, where you can just sit and either with a friend or by yourself, like study your textbook, watch anime, like you can play a video game, you can do things like in outside third spaces, and that's just common. And again, you can visit the temple, and I don't know, like it's hard for me to verbalize, but there was just this feeling that life first and money second. No matter how overworked and overburdened people were, life first, work second. I saw this Japanese salaryman. It was like around 6 or 7 p.m. and I was walking past Fluffy's Cat Cafe like a day after I had visited it in Kyoto, and in the first floor display they had like an older cat the day that I went, and then they had a little baby gray kitten playing around, and I saw the salaryman was there from like the whole time it was visible that I was walking down, and I was just kind of there like watching the cat for a little bit, and then I was on my phone looking something up. I was there for about 10 or 20 minutes, and by the time I left, that guy was still there, and he was just staring at the cat like de-stressing. He wasn't looking at his phone, he wasn't calling anyone, he was just standing there like, wow, look at that cute cat. And I know this sounds like kind of maybe dumb, maybe like a dumb observation on my end, but it really feels like there's less toxicity in a sense. I don't know. I really feel like this wholesome energy of like one thing at a time, like focus and concentration and relaxation. I don't know because I'm not Japanese, and I obviously can't say as a person living there, but I just got this feeling from observing the people all around me who were extremely friendly. Even the homeless guy that I passed by once like smiled at me. They know that money is just a tool to have a good life overall, okay? As an overall, you're gonna find a bunch of exceptions and leave me comments about that down below. I get it, but that's just what I saw. That's how I felt, and I felt like it de-stressed me, it calmed me down. It brought me back to my senses. It got me out of my depression. I don't know. No, really, it did. It got me out of my depression. The food was really good and healthy. I walked a lot. I visited a lot of temples. I prayed a lot. And I was around really beautiful, nice people. Okay, so this is 5 things that I noticed that still kind of surprised me. Going to Japan for the first time finally after being a weeb for the last couple of decades and knowing a lot about Japanese culture, and yet still I was really surprised at that. So thank you so much for watching. I will be posting up a lot of Japan content probably over the next couple of weeks. I'm just embracing this new experience and I love sharing it with you guys. So I hope you'll give me a chance to talk about this, and I hope it's not too far off from what you're expecting of this channel right now. But thank you and mata ne.